Welcome to today's story of love, life, and betrayal. For more free stories and entertainment from our channel, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe with notifications. Now, let's dive into The Office Uprising, a story that proves sometimes the best career move is helping your former boss make their worst one. Amy Chen sat in her new corner office at Sterling Marketing Solutions, reading the email that had just made her day infinitely better. It was a job application from Patricia Williams, the same Patricia Williams who had systematically destroyed Amy's career at Morrison & Associates just 6 months earlier. "Dear hiring manager," the email began, "I am writing to express my interest in the senior marketing director position at your company. After 5 successful years leading the marketing department at Morrison & Associates, I am excited to bring my expertise and leadership skills to a new challenge." Amy almost laughed out loud. Patricia was applying to work for Amy, apparently having no idea that her former subordinate was now the head of marketing at one of Morrison & Associates' biggest competitors. The irony was delicious, but it was also an opportunity for the revenge Amy had been planning for months. 6 months ago, Amy had been Morrison & Associates' rising star. As a marketing coordinator, she'd developed innovative campaigns that had increased client engagement by 200% and brought in over $2 million in new business. She'd been on track for a promotion to senior coordinator, with hints from upper management that a director-level position might open up within the year. Then Patricia Williams had been hired as the new marketing department head. Patricia had arrived with impressive credentials from a larger firm and immediately set about restructuring the department to improve efficiency and accountability. What she'd really done was systematically undermine Amy's work while taking credit for her successes. It had started small. Patricia would make tiny changes to Amy's campaign proposals and then present them to clients as her own ideas. She'd reassign Amy's best projects to other team members while giving Amy busy work that offered no visibility or advancement opportunities. When Amy tried to speak up about her contributions being overlooked, Patricia would smile sympathetically and suggest that Amy needed to be more of a team player and less focused on individual recognition. But Patricia's masterpiece of sabotage had been the Hartwell Industries account. Amy had spent 3 months developing a comprehensive rebranding campaign for Hartwell, a mid-sized manufacturing company that was looking to modernize their image. The campaign was brilliant, a perfect blend of traditional values and contemporary appeal that would help Hartwell attract younger customers while maintaining their existing client base. Amy had researched every aspect of Hartwell's business, interviewed their executives, surveyed their customers, and created a proposal that addressed every one of their concerns. It was the kind of campaign that could define a marketing professional's career. 2 days before the presentation, Patricia had called Amy into her office. "Amy, I've been reviewing your Hartwell proposal, and I'm concerned that it's not quite ready for such an important client," Patricia had said with fake concern. "I think it would be better if I handled this presentation myself, with some adjustments to make the campaign more sophisticated." Amy had protested, but Patricia had been firm. "This is a decision I'm making as department head. I need you to trust my judgment and focus on supporting the team effort." Patricia had presented Amy's campaign to Hartwell Industries, making only superficial changes to the proposal while taking full credit for the strategy and creative direction. The campaign had been a huge success, resulting in a $500,000 contract and earning Patricia recognition as Marketing Executive of the Month from the local business association. Amy had received no credit for her work, and when she tried to discuss the situation with Patricia's boss, she'd been told that internal attribution of team projects was Patricia's responsibility as department head. But Patricia's final move had been the most devastating. 3 weeks after the Hartwell presentation, Patricia had called Amy into her office with a concerned expression and a termination letter. "Amy, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to let you go," Patricia had said. "Your recent performance hasn't met our standards, and several clients have expressed concerns about your work quality." Amy had been stunned. What performance issues? What client concerns? Well, there was the Hartwell campaign that required significant revision, and I've received feedback that your communication style can be challenging for some of our more traditional clients. Amy had realized that Patricia was manufacturing reasons for the termination, but she'd had no way to prove it. Without allies in upper management, and with Patricia controlling the narrative about her performance, Amy had been powerless to fight the decision. She'd been walked out of Morrison & Associates that same day, her career in shambles and her reputation damaged by Patricia's false claims about client dissatisfaction. But Amy Chen was not the type of person to give up after one setback, even a devastating one. She'd spent the next month networking, reaching out to contacts in the industry, and carefully rebuilding her professional reputation. She'd been strategic about how she discussed her departure from Morrison & Associates, focusing on her accomplishments rather than the circumstances of her termination. Her breakthrough had come when she'd been introduced to Marcus Sterling, the CEO of Sterling Marketing Solutions. Marcus was building a new marketing team and was looking for someone with fresh ideas and proven results. Amy's portfolio of work, including the original Hartwell campaign materials she'd saved, had impressed Marcus immediately. Her innovative approach to integrated marketing and her track record of measurable results were exactly what he'd been looking for. Within 2 months of her termination, Amy had been hired as Sterling Marketing Solutions' new Director of Marketing, with a significant salary increase and equity in the company. But Amy's real victory had come when she'd started competing directly against Morrison & Associates for clients. Sterling Marketing Solutions was smaller than Morrison & Associates, but they were agile, innovative, and focused on delivering exceptional results. Amy's campaigns for Sterling's clients were consistently outperforming Morrison & Associates' work, and several high-profile accounts had switched agencies specifically to work with Amy. The marketing industry was small and relationship-driven, and word had quickly spread about the talented director at Sterling, who was creating award-winning campaigns and delivering unprecedented ROI for her clients. Meanwhile, Patricia's reputation had begun to decline as it became clear that her early success at Morrison & Associates had been built on Amy's work. Without Amy's innovative thinking and strategic planning, Patricia's campaigns had become predictable and ineffective. Morrison & Associates had lost 3 major clients in the past 2 months, and industry insiders were starting to question Patricia's abilities as a marketing leader, which brought Amy to the present moment, staring at Patricia's job application and realizing that fate had handed her the perfect opportunity for revenge. Amy called her assistant, Sarah, into her office. "Sarah, I need you to schedule an interview with Patricia Williams for the Senior Marketing Director position. Let's set it up for Friday afternoon." "Should I send her our standard interview information packet?" Sarah asked. Amy smiled. "Actually, let's do something special for this candidate. I want to interview her personally." Amy spent the next 3 days preparing for Patricia's interview. But instead of planning to hire her former boss, Amy was planning to give Patricia exactly what she deserved. Amy researched Patricia's recent work at Morrison & Associates and was not surprised to find that the quality had declined significantly since Amy's departure. Patricia's campaigns were uninspired, her client retention rates were poor, and her team turnover was higher than industry average. More importantly, Amy discovered that Patricia was apparently in financial trouble. She'd been living beyond her means, probably trying to maintain the lifestyle that her initial success at Morrison & Associates had made possible. Her mortgage was underwater, her credit cards were maxed out, and she was clearly desperate for a new job with a higher salary. Amy also reached out to some of her contacts at Morrison & Associates, people who had been friendly with her before Patricia's arrival. What she learned confirmed her suspicions about Patricia's declining reputation and increasingly desperate situation. "Patricia's been a disaster," confided James Peterson, a senior account manager at Morrison & Associates. "Everyone knows that the early successes were your work, and without you, she's been flailing." The partners are starting to ask questions about her leadership. Amy filed away this information for Friday's interview. Patricia arrived at Sterling Marketing Solutions exactly on time, dressed in an expensive suit that probably represented her last attempt to project success and confidence. She looked nervous, but was clearly trying to hide it behind her usual facade of professional competence. "Amy," Patricia said when she was shown into the conference room, her surprise barely concealed. "I didn't realize you were working here." "Hello, Patricia," Amy replied pleasantly. "Please have a seat. I'm excited to learn more about your interest in joining our team." Amy had deliberately chosen the conference room for the interview rather than her office. The room had floor-to-ceiling windows that offered a view of the city skyline, and Amy had positioned herself so that Patricia would be sitting with her back to the impressive view while facing Amy, who was backlit by the natural light. It was a subtle psychological advantage that made Amy appear more powerful and authoritative. "So, Patricia, tell me about your recent work at Morrison & Associates. What campaigns are you most proud of?" Patricia launched into a description of the Hartwell Industries campaign, presenting it as her own innovative work and taking full credit for its success. Amy listened patiently, taking notes and nodding encouragingly. "That sounds like an impressive campaign. Can you walk me through your creative process? How did you develop the strategic framework?" Patricia's answer was vague and unfocused, clearly indicating that she didn't actually understand the strategic thinking behind the campaign she was claiming credit for. "Interesting," Amy said. "And what was your approach to the customer research? How did you identify the target demographics and their pain points?" Again, Patricia's answer revealed that she had no real understanding of the methodology behind the campaign's success. Amy continued asking detailed questions about specific aspects of the Hartwell campaign, and with each answer, it became more obvious that Patricia was taking credit for work she hadn't done and didn't understand. Finally, Amy pulled out a folder and placed it on the table between them. "Patricia, I have to tell you, your description of the Hartwell campaign is fascinating because I actually have some familiarity with that project." Patricia looked confused. "Oh? Yes, you see, I was the one who created that campaign. Every strategy, every creative element, every piece of research you just described as your own work, I developed it during my time at Morrison & Associates." The color drained from Patricia's face. Amy opened the folder and spread out documents across the table. Original campaign drafts with Amy's name and timestamp, email threads showing Amy's strategic thinking, research reports that Amy had personally compiled. "This is my work, Patricia, all of it, and you just spent 20 minutes lying to me about creating it yourself." Patricia started to stammer an explanation, but Amy held up her hand. "Let me save you the trouble of trying to explain this away. I know exactly what happened at Morrison & Associates. I know that you took credit for my work, undermined my contributions, and then fired me to eliminate the evidence of your theft." "Amy, I can explain." "I'm sure you can. But here's what I find most interesting about this situation. You're sitting in an interview, desperately needing a job, lying about accomplishments that belong to the person you're asking to hire you." Amy leaned back in her chair, enjoying the moment. "Do you know why you need this job so badly, Patricia? Because without my work to steal, you've been failing at Morrison & Associates. Your recent campaigns have been mediocre, your client retention is terrible, and your reputation in the industry is declining rapidly." Patricia looked like she was about to cry, But Amy wasn't finished. Here's the really ironic part. Sterling Marketing Solutions has been winning business specifically because clients want to work with the person who created the campaigns you've been taking credit for. 3 of Morrison & Associates' former clients are now our clients, and they've all mentioned that they were impressed by that brilliant Hartwell campaign and wanted to work with the person who created it. Amy pulled out another document, a signed contract with Hartwell Industries. In fact, Hartwell Industries just signed with us for a complete rebranding refresh. They specifically requested to work with the marketing director who understood their business so well in the previous campaign. That would be me, Patricia. They want to work with the person who actually created the strategy you've been taking credit for. Patricia stared at the contract in shock. So here's what's going to happen, Amy continued. You're not getting this job. In fact, I'm going to make sure that everyone in our industry network knows exactly what kind of leader you really are. Amy picked up her phone and opened her contacts list. I have relationships with marketing directors at every major agency in the city. I'm going to share the story of this interview with all of them, along with the documentation proving that you've been stealing credit for other people's work. Amy, please, I'm also going to share this information with your current employer. I'm sure the partners at Morrison & Associates would be very interested to learn that their marketing director has been fraudulently representing stolen work as her own during job interviews. Patricia was now visibly shaking. You can't do this. You'll ruin my career. Amy smiled. Patricia, you ruined your own career the moment you decided to steal my work instead of developing your own skills. I'm just making sure that the truth becomes public knowledge. Amy stood up and walked to the door. This interview is over. Security will escort you out of the building. And Patricia, don't ever contact me or my company again. As Patricia was escorted out by security, Amy felt a sense of satisfaction that was better than any bonus or promotion she'd ever received. But Amy wasn't done yet. Over the next week, Amy systematically shared the story of Patricia's fraudulent interview with her professional network. She provided documentation proving that Patricia had stolen credit for Amy's work and had lied about her accomplishments during the job interview. The response from the marketing community was swift and decisive. Patricia's reputation was destroyed overnight as the story spread through industry networks and social media. More importantly, Amy's network rallied around her story of resilience and eventual success. Her experience of being sabotaged by a jealous boss and then building an even better career resonated with other marketing professionals who had faced similar challenges. Sterling Marketing Solutions received inquiries from several high-profile clients who wanted to work with Amy specifically, impressed by both her professional skills and her integrity in handling the Patricia situation. Within 2 weeks of the interview, Patricia had been fired from Morrison & Associates as the partners realized the extent of her deception and the damage she'd done to the company's reputation. Meanwhile, Amy was promoted to Vice President of Marketing at Sterling Marketing Solutions, with a significant equity increase and the authority to build her own department. But Amy's favorite outcome was the email she received from Hartwell Industries. Dear Amy, it read, we wanted to thank you for the exceptional work on our original rebranding campaign. We always suspected that the presentation didn't match the strategic thinking behind the campaign materials, and now we understand why. We're excited to work with the real creator of that brilliant strategy on our upcoming projects. 6 months later, Amy was featured in Marketing Week magazine as one of the industry's rising stars under 35. The article highlighted her innovative campaigns, her leadership in building Sterling Marketing Solutions' marketing department, and her reputation as someone who valued authenticity and integrity in an industry that could sometimes reward the opposite. Patricia Williams, meanwhile, had left the marketing industry entirely and was working as a sales associate at a furniture store. Amy kept the magazine article framed in her office, not as a reminder of her victory over Patricia, but as a reminder that the best revenge against people who try to steal your success is to build something even better that can't be stolen. A year after the disastrous interview, Amy received a LinkedIn message from Patricia. "Amy, I know I have no right to contact you, but I wanted to apologize for what I did. I was insecure about my own abilities, and I made terrible choices that hurt both of us. I've learned from this experience, and I hope someday I can rebuild my career with integrity. Congratulations on your success. You deserve it." Amy read the message and decided not to respond. She didn't need Patricia's apology, and she didn't need closure from someone who had tried to destroy her career. But she did appreciate the acknowledgement that Amy's success was built on her own talent and hard work, something that could never be stolen, no matter how hard someone might try. Amy's story had become a cautionary tale in the marketing industry about the dangers of taking credit for other people's work. But it was also an inspiring example of how talent and integrity could triumph over office politics and professional sabotage. The Office Uprising had succeeded beyond Amy's wildest dreams, not because she'd destroyed her enemy, but because she'd built something so successful that her enemy's betrayal became irrelevant. Sometimes, Amy reflected, the best revenge wasn't bringing someone down. It was rising so high that they couldn't reach you anymore. Thanks for listening to today's story of love, life, and betrayal. For more free stories and entertainment from our channel, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe with notifications.